In total, the Apollo missions brought back over 800 pounds of lunar soil and rock. These samples were distributed to laboratories all over the world. At the independent Berkeley Geochronology Center in California, geologist Paul Rene has been studying lunar rock samples for the last 10 years. His main interest is these tiny glass spherules from the moon's surface, created by the intense heat of a meteorite impact.
The spherules that we've been analyzing are tiny balls of glass, so they're like magma that we find on the Earth in that sense. But they've cooled very, very quickly, and so they form a essentially uniform glass sphere.
But unlike spherules found in Earth's solid volcanic lava, the moon's lack of terrestrial gravity results in spherules which are larger and more round.
In this copper disk, we have loaded 145 of these lunar spherules. This copper disk will then be loaded into a sample chamber, which you can see here.
Using a laser heating system to release gases locked inside the spherules, Paul Rene looks for evidence of cosmic radiation to uncover clues about their age and place of origin.
The lunar materials that we've analyzed and that others have analyzed show evidence of having been bombarded by cosmic radiation, which we don't see on Earth because we have an atmosphere that really shields them very effectively.
Rene has determined the spherules date back 3.9 billion years. This finding eliminates the possibility that they originated on Earth.
The oldest glass I'm aware of on the Earth, anywhere, is about 165 million years old. So the Earth, with its very dynamic environment, does not tend to preserve these glassy objects, whereas the Moon, being essentially dead from a thermal point of view, does tend to preserve these things. The results that we obtained are absolutely definitively proof of a lunar origin. I can say with utmost assurance that they were derived from the Moon.
But even this level of proof fails to shake the stubborn conviction of conspiracy theorists.
The lunar rocks were fake, just like the pictures were in the stories of the astronauts. NASA has a ceramics laboratory where it would have been very easy to produce the 800 pounds of rocks allegedly brought back from the Moon.
But it's evidence the astronauts left behind and not what they brought back that may offer the clinching proof. Every successful moon mission set up a range of experiments. More than 30 years after Apollo 11, one of them continues to operate, the Lunar Laser Ranger.
There were two major experiments. One was a series of corner reflectors to reflect laser beams from the Earth sent to the Moon that then, because of the geometry of these corner reflectors, would send the beam back in exactly the direction that it came from.
High up in the Davis Mountain Range, the McDonald Observatory in Texas continues to gather information from the experiment.
In 33 years, no one has showed up. No one has come and talked to us.
Jerry Wyant would welcome a visit from the conspiracy theorists. Since 1969, his team has been firing a laser beam at the experiment an average of 240 times a year.
And of course, at Apollo 11 site is where the United States placed its first lunar retro package. So we fire laser at this spot and three others on the Moon. Now we've turned the laser on. In a few seconds, you'll see the splash.
The laser hits the reflector on the Moon's surface and bounces back as a series of pulses invisible to the human eye. By measuring the time it takes for each laser pulse to return, scientists gather key information about the Earth's position in the solar system.
That's not light coming from the Moon. The splash you see is light coming from the end of our own telescope. That's the first spot where a man walked on the Moon.
Our search for the truth has revealed the definitive answer. Maybe that's why conspiracy theories have so little to say on this subject.
And so it's sad that the detractors have never taken the time to ask the people who are actually involved. They just make up their mind that it's a hoax and never bother to ask us.
At the height of they had the technology to in on the Apollo missions. And yet, conspiracy theorists ignore the eavesdropping power and silence of America's arch enemies.
Why don't they ask the Russians? The Russians were in direct competition with us, and if the Russians suspected in any way that we were faking anything, they'd have broadcast that all over the world.
Every time we go to a new frontier, further out, people will tell stories and other people will wrap them in myth.
Perhaps all great human achievements are destined to attract skepticism and controversy.
In a million years of human history, going to the moon, baying for the moon, wishing for the moon was a metaphor for the impossible. And suddenly people did it. But I think a large part of it is just cultural vandalism.
Cultural vandal, I like it. I think I'm going to get a sign for my car. I am a cultural vandal. That's a good one.
Like the urge to deface the Mona Lisa or to carve your initials into a statue, to carve your initials onto the face of the Apollo program is just an urge that people seem to have, some people.
Compared to all the effort it would take to create and hide a lie of such magnitude, it would have been far easier for NASA to build a rocket